Hey everybody, welcome. This is Full Press NHL here live up on YouTube, Full Press Hockey, up on Twitter at Full Press NHL. Jim Biringer here, David Calabretta, and I have to give David a big time scoop alert. Congrats, buddy, on scooping this one. The Montreal Canadiens acquire Noah Dobson, and you got the package right, buddy.
Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of phone time, a lot of screen time, a lot of chats today. But I'm glad the deal went through, and I'm glad that I had a lot of people to hit up and get some scoops there. Feels good. Thanks a lot.
As you told me this morning, and it's up on my Twitter at Jim Biringer. It's also on your Twitter as well. Emil Heineman and both first-round picks are going to the New York Islanders for Noah Dobson. It's a sign and trade, quote unquote. Dobson signs for 8 years, $9.5 million, and that was my biggest concern, right? Like, what were the Islanders and the Canadiens going to do out of this? Because we knew Columbus was involved. There were a bunch of teams involved, but when it came out that he wanted to stay in the Eastern Conference, the fact of the matter is it came down to two teams, Columbus and Montreal.
No, I mean, it did, and it just had to be who wants to give more. And I think 2 draft picks really enticed, the Islanders to make that trade there. I mean, Columbus obviously had 2 picks, but I think if they would have provided 2 draft picks to 14 and 20, it would have been done.
Yeah, exactly. But again, they would probably had to pay a higher price. Maybe a forward, another forward was going to have to go. Maybe a higher price forward.
Yeah,
you know what the Metro Division price is. Look, just ask anybody that's around the New Jersey Devils that tried to get Rickard Rakell at the trade deadline. You're going to pay more inside your division. And we know Noah Dobson really wanted to go to the Montreal Canadiens. That seemed to be the spot. But again, getting the money under $10 million because we know who's up when his ELC comes up. It's Lane Hutson. The guy won Rookie of the Year. By the way, you guys didn't check out our previous videos about that. We both predicted Lane Hutson was going to get Rookie of the Year. I mean, it was a given, but there were some doubters out there. But the fact of the matter is that he's going to need a new contract. So you can't pay 2 defensemen $10 million.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure if Lane Hutson's really going to be signed July 1st, because that's totally fine. I mean, I think Montreal might look at it and say, how much more could he be asking for, if we could just wait this thing out? And especially now that they signed Noah Dobson, Montreal's going to have to juggle a bit on the cap, because remember, they didn't place Carey Price on LTIR just yet. And I don't think they
can't do that till the beginning of September anyway.
And I don't think they intend on doing so. And I'm going to keep an eye on them for maybe even trading a contract here.
I think they will try to trade that contract. Talking to some people around the league, I think they're going to try to trade that contract.
And I wonder if, Montreal is done for tonight.
I think so. They might be.
No draft pick. They don't have a first-round pick. I don't think they're really looking for one, because obviously they traded them.
Right.
But I wonder if, they're going to – obviously, it's evident. They need a forward still.
Yes, absolutely. Do you think, real quick, sorry to cut you off, do you think they try to move Brendan Gallagher's deal?
I mean, I heard Gallagher. I heard Anderson, Anderson was also linked to your Devils.
Yeah, but, I mean, he's been linked to the Devils for the last 3 years.
That's true. That's true. But, I mean, look, you saw him in the playoffs. He was Montreal's most effective player.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I think there's a bit of value in that. You won't get much for a contract shed. I mean, look at Evander Kane.
Yeah.
But, no, I think Montreal, forward, they don't really have to trade for one. Maybe they could go sign someone. Like I said, Claude Giroux, I'm looking at his situation in Ottawa. He's someone who I think if there's no contract there, Montreal might be looking at signing him. But, again, too early to tell, and I'm sure Kent Hughes has been working on this deal all day and all night, so maybe he's going to take tonight off.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, this has been going on, since yesterday, right, this deal? So they've been trying to get this done between Dobson and the Canadiens for a while now. I mean, this is what they wanted to do. This is what they had to do. I mean, look, you lost David Savard, huge piece to that team, right? Again, he was retiring, so they got into the playoffs. Again, I was a believer in the Habs, right? Like, that was my thing. Like, this team is ready to take the next step. They have to show that they can consistently be in a playoff spot, and adding Noah Dobson is a step in that right direction. I mean, look, Dobson, Hudson on that one side is huge. Again, how much power play time goes around, that's on Martin St. Louis' job to do. That's not my job to do, my job to worry about or anything like that. That's his job to worry about. Though I do think if I'm Noah Dobson, I think, see how the season plays out, but I think eventually he'll defer power play 1 to Lane Hutson. I mean, you could see how much Hutson meant to that pay-per-view, to that power play.
I mean, yeah. I mean, also, there's a lot of people saying that Montreal didn't need a defense, and for that, I think you did not watch the Habs play this year.
No, yeah, yeah. I don't think you watched the Habs this year. Their
No,
defense
because in
is
the
not the
playoffs they got
greatest.
absolutely bullied, and it's okay to say that,
Yeah,
right? Like I think Alex Carrier got 5 hits a game, and like it's not a knock on him, but they were just getting outclassed defensively, and
yeah.
not even just physically, just in the defensive aspect of the game. And you lose David Savard, you can't go in with a bunch of rookies. And like I said, Noah Dobson established. The charts like him analytically. I like him on the eye test. I'm very interested to see how he's going to do in Montreal.
No, I really like what they give, and I'm interested to see what the signing bonus structure is for Noah Dobson with his contract. I know it seems like it's going to be heavy based with his
Bonus.
signing bonus. Yeah, heavy. Like I heard heavy bases for the bonuses.
I mean, he
That
did
would
want
make
11. He wanted 11 million, right? So
sense. And that was my concern with the Habs. Like, were they going to pay the dude over 11 million when you knew you had Hudson? Somebody was going to have to take a pay cut.
for
And the
sure.
fact that Kent Hughes and Jeff Gordon got Noah Dobson to agree to a pay cut, a significant pay cut, because the rumors were 11 million, 10.5. Like, he probably could have got it in Columbus. He probably could have got 11 million.
He has every right to ask for that.
Yeah.
He's making the same money as Jacob Chikrin and Seth Jones now.
Yeah.
And honestly, I take Noah Dobson every single day and twice on Sundays over those guys.
Exactly. 100% I would.
So,
100%.
25 years old, entering his prime, it's a perfect fit for Montreal. And I'm sure he said he wants to come here. So,
What else do you think the Habs will do? Because this is now, is it the third year in a row?
yeah,
that they've done something like this?
missed the biggest one for sure.
Oh, 100%. They had Kirby Doc, Alex Newhook. Obviously, Patrick Laine was later in the summer last year. But this is now the fourth straight year they've done something big in the summer. And you got to give credit. Again, I'll say it at the time. I said it then. I'll say it now. I didn't think that to fire Jeff Gordon from New York was bad. He was
always said that.
Something there. And the Islanders wanted to get Jeff Gordon to be their next general manager. But again, they can't do it. He wasn't going to leave. He wants to win with the Habs. He wants to build something. He's building something. Why would he leave Montreal to go to New York? He wanted to build something after he got fired from the Rangers. And now Kent Hughes, they're doing everything correctly. You got a number one center, Nick Suzuki, despite what the media and other places say about Nick Suzuki. He's a number one center. Lane Hudson, you got two. Let's be honest, you have two number one defensemen on the back end in Noah Dobson and Lane Hudson. Like, I'm being honest. And you have Mayu coming the way and Reinbacher. Here's the thing. When people say, defense, and, why you keep drafting defensemen? It's because you can never have enough defensemen.
You can. Michael Kessling went for JJ Peterka.
Right, exactly.
And, I'm gonna say it again. I'm gonna be like, Montreal needed defensemen, and right. It's okay to admit that. And very good job on Kent Hughes to keep all their prospects intact. I mean, for one, I'm not sure if I shared it a lot, but I think I did vocally on Twitter. I really like Emil Heineman, and I think the New York Islanders are getting a great winger.
He's a great player.
Great winger.
I spoke with somebody this morning who's a big Habs fan about the potential of Emil Heineman leaving, and I think a lot of people where he was. Let's just say he wasn't a fan of it because they like Emil Heineman.
No, they did. They really did. And honestly, it sucks to let him go, but you have to look at the bigger picture. Montreal could have lost worse assets, and you're not really relying on Emil Heineman to bring your team to the playoffs.
No, absolutely not.
But
now,
I'll say, could I end on one thing?
Go ahead.
On New York Islanders, do you think that the Islanders are making a mistake here for going and get James Hagens? Doing all this for James Hagens? Do you think there's a big mistake here, or do you think it's more than just a feel-good story?
No, I think this is not just a feel-good story. I think, look, I'll say this. I've written it about on my Substack. I've talked about this on my Twitter, @JimBeringer. You can follow me there. I've talked to a lot of draft guys. We can debate about who goes where. But I'll say this. He's the most talented player with the highest ceiling. They need an offensive guy that's a point-per-game player. It's all well and good he's saying the right things, wants to bring a Stanley Cup. Very cool. We mentioned Matt Martin yesterday, how he was like Matt Martin when he was fighting with his brother. That's all well and good. I think ownership knows with the the bumper stickers that say "Bring Hagens home," with all that stuff, they have to draft him now. I think there's pressure from ownership to Matthew Darche to get James Hagens there. Look, besides the feel-good story, he's an offensive weapon that the Islanders need. How many times have we talked about this? Islanders need offense. Islanders need offense. Islanders need offense. They need offense. James Hagens can bring it, whether he's a first-line center or a first-line winger. The jury's still out on that. I know he wants to play center, but we'll see what he is. He's exactly what that team needs with Callum Ritchie and Cole Eiserman there already. You have Bo Horvat, Matthew Barzal. That's a good young nucleus that you have, that you're building around. That's the type of stuff that will allow Patrick Roy to be the coach he was in Quebec and won the Memorial Cup. The roster that he inherited was flawed.
Yeah, I agree. I think they do lack offensive talent, and I did agree that when they won the lottery, I was up for the debate that they could have picked the forward, because at the time they did have Pellick, Pollock, Romanov, Dobson at the time, obviously. And I think they did lack offensive department, but I just wonder if teams are going to make Darche overpay, and I really think that's what's going to happen tonight. And the question is, where is he? Who's he going to trade with? Who's the partner, you think? Who are you looking at?
I'm looking at a couple of teams. I think Boston is one at 7. I think Utah and Nashville are the other two that Darche can make moves with. Because I think if you look at it, I think if Dobson was okay going anywhere, there's a deal to be made with the Utah Mammoth, used to be Utah Hockey Club, where you could have sent a defenseman like Sean Dursley or John Marino along with the 4th overall pick to the Islanders for Dobson. I think that would have been a play. Again, I'm going to credit Anthony LaRocco on that. Him and I had a space yesterday where we talked about it, about a potential deal with Utah. Nashville, you could potentially move both picks to Nashville depending on who they want. Like, a lot of the prospects, a lot of people aren't high on Brady Martin. They feel he could go outside the top 10. So if that's a player like Utah's high on or Nashville's high on and they can get him later, then they'll trade. Like, I wonder, somebody put this out there. They wonder if they're going to, like Pittsburgh, who has 2 first-round picks, are going to put pressure on somebody to trade both of them and then put the Islanders in a tough spot. Like that, that could be something that, happens, right? Like, I think the big thing for me is the Islanders have to get to at least 5. Because it depends on who the Flyers take, because I think the Flyers really like James Hagens too. They also like Porter Martone. And I think that's another kid that people are going to be sleeping on if they don't select him early. Like, I think there's not a lot high on him, but I think he's going to be a really good player as well.
I'm also looking at Boston too, because you know why, Jim? Boston don't have a lot of prospects in their pool. And if they could really get 2 draft picks instead of 1, and if you look at the range of 6 to, we'll go as far as 16.
Yeah.
It could really go either way. You could see guys slide, go up. And I'm hearing that Boston like Roger McQueen at 7. I do think Roger McQueen, it could be a slider. And I think at 7 might be a reach, considering what's been talked about in the last few days. So I think Boston could be a good trading partner, especially if they could get Pajot in it as well.
Yeah.
I know they've been interested in Pajot as well. So look, I'm gonna say one thing. Darche looks, he's desperate right now. He needs
the whole league knows he wants to get Hagens.
He needs to get that pick. And I do think a lot of teams are gonna pretend they want Hagens so they could get an offer here.
Right.
And I do think Darce's gonna end up overpaying, but at this point in time, you have to, because you already traded Noah Dobson.
So I saw some reports out there from our buddy Dave Pagnotta, 4th period, putting out there potential teams been calling about Matt Barzal. But the problem is, where's Vancouver picking? I don't think they're
15.
picking 15, right? So that's not really a good trading partner for them. They need to get into the top 10. I do believe it. So
Buffalo?
Yeah. No. The Islanders have to get into the top 10.
No. I'm saying maybe Buffalo.
Maybe at 9, but I don't even think Hagens is going to be there at 9.
Jim, I could only tell you who's the top 3.
What's up, man? Thanks for tuning in, man.
What's happening? But I have Schaefer, Misa, Fundel, and I couldn't tell you who. 4 maybe Dinwiddie, but after that, I couldn't tell you.
See, it's funny because as much as I like Schaefer, I've always had Hagens higher. Like, I had him number one the whole year for me. I love what he did in college, point per game player, right? One's World Junior goal with USA, back-to-back scores, big goals, stuff like that. Like, I just think that, to me, he's the best option, for a team that needs offense. Now, again, they're taking Schaefer. It was automatic. Once most people figured it out, Dobson was gone, right? If Dobson wasn't going, and I think somebody who joined us earlier did a recording with Victoria Matiash. I think I agree with her. Like, it's best that you keep all three guys. Like, you could have kept Dobson and Schaefer. It only makes your team better. But when you're bringing in an elite defenseman like that, who is going to be talented, that's your replacement for Dobson, and you're building your own team, right? So the Islanders, to me, like, Boston intrigues me. Nashville definitely intrigues me, because they need prospects. Their prospect pool is not good either. Like, they've traded away like everybody, so they need to rebuild their prospect pool. There, Boston again, it'd be a similar situation if Sweeney had back-to-back picks. Does he make up for what he did in 2015?
Yeah, I mean, I think he has to at this point. But look, I think top 15 could go either way tonight. Like I said, after top 3, it's really up in the air. Hagens could go 4 or 5. He could go 10 or 11. So, I think the Islanders are going to have to judge that. I'm sure they're going to have a lot of offers on the table, but I think only a trade happens when we reach pick 5, 6.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. We got a comment here from our guy. You think 15 and 16 and second could get it done? Apparently, there's some on the board trade values, draft picks, and those picks equal 4 to 7. But I think teams know that they want Hagens. Absolutely. Maybe it gets it done. I think depends on the team and depends on the need, right? I mean, like, if you're Utah, if you're Nashville, you're probably gonna want a player in return. Maybe picks get it done. I'm not sure, because everybody knows that the Islanders want to go get Hagens now.
I think it's going to take more.
Yeah. So, no, these are great points.
No,
this is a great comment here. I think it's going to take more, because I do think, like, after the top 3, like, and I think this is a Florida effect too. Like, let's be honest, Florida going back to back. Like, James Hagens isn't like he's 5'8" or 5'9". He's 5'11" and he's big. But he couldn't hold his draft spot. Like, that was the problem. He couldn't hold his draft spot.
No.
Anything he did was not good enough still for the draft guys. So, to me, I look at it and I say, what can the Islanders give, and who can they give it? Like, trade it. And look, Buffalo, still got Bo Byram out there, right? Like, Boston, they need picks. It's going to be interesting. Very, very interesting.
I think Hagens is a top 3 talent in this draft. Like, if we go alone on skill set, I mean, I watched him in Ottawa live. I know how he is as a player. He was number 1 for a reason. So Islanders have every right to want to trade up for him. But like I said, that offer, I think if it was any other team, that offer could probably go through. Yeah. But everyone knows they want Hagens. Like you said, it might have to take a roster player. I think Pajot is going to have to be in that package tonight.
Yeah. Here we go. Maybe Jean-Gabriel Pajot, Nashville, flip him, deadline, 50%, get another first. I mean, it's not a bad deal.
That one makes more sense for sure.
But you throw in pick 16 or 17, yeah, I agree with that. 100% I agree with that. I think you could do that. Minnesota's been tied to Jean-Gabriel Pajot as well. They just traded Freddie Gaudreau.
Yeah, Freddie Gaudreau.
Yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens, what they do. So I'm interested also to see, like, Toronto Maple Leafs, like, they signed John Tavares 4 times 4.3. Actually, it's 4 times 4.5, but he deferred $2 million, so it dropped the cap value. So it's basically the Matt Duchene deal. Really, really effective contract. Basically, Brad Treliving's like, this is what you're getting. You're not getting anything else, and when that happens, that's it. You're done.
No, for sure. I think, honestly, when it comes to that, like, there's not much to do here, like, and especially in the Islanders, the way I look at it is that, let's say they don't get a trade done tonight. They still have pick 1, 16, and 17, right? They're adding a lot of draft capital and draft prospects to their pool.
Right. I agree with that. They have to, right? Like, they have to do it. Toronto, again, Mitch Marner is going to be out the door. could go to Vegas, could go to LA. Is Columbus a sleeper in this thing? What do you think? Because I think the Johnny Gaudreau factor, the late great Johnny Gaudreau. I mean, Columbus, you get a player like that. LA could use him too. You get a player like that that's really going to say something. And I think he wants to play in a quieter place.
Columbus wants to make noise, right? They were in on Dobson.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're in on other forwards as well tonight. Maybe we'll see something. I mean, they have 2 first-round picks, like you said. But for Marner, again, would he want to go to Columbus? I'm not sure. I mean, everyone says he won't. But, look at Johnny Gaudreau, like you mentioned. So I think money talks for sure. And if Columbus are willing to throw the bag at him, he's definitely going to want to consider it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it seems looking at Cam Robinson right now, it sounds like Columbus felt like they made a better pitch for Dobson. Probably they did.
You said that.
They definitely did. But again, I think he wanted to go to Montreal. And the Islanders have work to do still too. And they have a nice young nucleus that Matthew Darche is building because they have a prospect pool that they need to keep. Marner's gone. Matthew Knies, what do you think he gets? 5-year deal?
If it's 5, it's 7 or 8 million. If it's more, it's 10 million apparently. So if I'm Toronto, I'm leaning for 5 years.
Yeah, you have to do that. I tweeted it out yesterday. I'm just going to go through the list of some things. I put up an article up on Faux Press Hockey as well, talking about Claude Giroux. Jamie Benn signed that 1-year deal, $1 million with $3 million bonuses. I think he gets the Jamie Benn deal. I said it with John Tavares. I'm going to stick to this. Tavares got the Duchesne deal, which is perfect. That's what it was going to take. I think they're off on money. It's definitely a 1-year deal, but it's going to be very, very salary structured with the bonuses, performance bonuses, how far they get, similar to what we're seeing around the league, how we saw Jonathan Toews get a new deal in Winnipeg. I think that's that's what they're going to do with these 37 and older players. I think that's the way to go. And I think that's what Ottawa's looking to do. I think it'll come in like $2 million, $2.5 million, and then the rest of it's performance bonuses.
Yeah, it's going to come down to will ownership want to do that, right? Because I think, like I said, if Giroux hits the market, I'm going to keep my eyes on Montreal. But look, $4 or $5 million, it doesn't have to be all on your cap hit, but that's probably what Giroux is aiming for, at least $5 million collectively.
Yeah,
maybe 2 years, maybe 3 at the max, but I think he's looking at 1 or 2 years as well.
No, I agree with that. I think that's 100% accurate. You go down the list, obviously Florida Panthers, Sam Bennett could be 8x8 for him to stay in Florida. Brad Marchand and Bill Zito, they all want to stay. It's going to be crazy that, the Florida Panthers could keep this thing going, but it's 2 of 3. I don't know if it's all 3 of 3 because I think 2 of those guys have to take pay cuts to stay and put the band together and keep the band together.
Yeah, I think Ekblad's gone.
Yeah, I think so too. Maybe if Utah, since Utah didn't get in on Dobson and couldn't get him, maybe that's a place Ekblad goes.
No, for sure. For sure. I think Utah would be a great fit, especially considering they got rid of Michael Kessler the other day for the Peterka trade. They have cap space. They have a lot of money because remember when they were back in Arizona, they were the team that takes on those crappy contracts and, they're all expiring now and they just have cap space. They have a lot of cap space and they will obviously want to make noise. Utah was mentioned by Friedman today, along with Montreal. They're teams that are aggressive. They want to get in that mix and I don't think they're done. I don't think one trade will call it a day.
No, so let's just revisit it. So again, Arthur Staples reporting that they tried to move Dobson from Marner. I had first reported they were listening on Dobson. It got refuted, but they were shopping him. But again, Marner controlled all the cards. Like people need to remember that Mitch Marner had all the cards. He had a full no trade, full no move. So it didn't matter what the package was. If Marner said no, he wasn't going anywhere. Like let's be honest. Like that was it. Now, Aaron Porcelain, as our buddy Dave Pagnotta said, both first-round picks, Dmitry Varkov, and a prospect and a later pick. That's your divisional price for sending a guy in your division. That's what a team has to pay. And the Islanders took the Canadiens' price instead.
So they did beat Montreal's offer. It just
Dobson wants to play in Montreal.
That's one thing as well. I think Dobson was really pushing in Montreal, and another thing, obviously, the divisional rival aspect. It makes a lot of sense. Montreal and Islanders, the only way they could meet is in the wild card again. And as for Columbus, they're going to play against each other for the next 8 years, Dobson in the same division. So, but that's a heavy price, and I'm honestly shocked Darsh really didn't see that through.
No, I'm really surprised by that too. I'm very, very surprised by that. You go around the league, Brock Besser's UFA, you have Nikolai Ehlers UFA. Where do you think those guys end up going?
Okay, well, we'll go down the list. We'll start obviously Marner. We talked about it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Vegas, I think.
Yeah, me too.
I think they're gonna start this weekend, especially like tomorrow, when it's like the 2nd to 7th round. They're gonna start shedding some salary.
Yeah, I agree.
Besser, I think Minnesota's gonna make a pitch for sure.
Boston, look out for Boston too, I think.
Boston as well, but I think Minnesota with the hometown thing, that's definitely. I feel like he's been linked with them for a long time.
Yeah, he's been linked to a lot of teams. Yep.
Ehlers is a tough one. I saw him linked. No, that was Besser linked to Winnipeg. I was hearing. I thought I saw that. No, it's Ehlers. I don't know. Where do you think Ehlers would go?
I think he's a good fit on the island.
I was thinking about that. I was thinking somewhere in the New York area, maybe the Devils.
Devils or Islanders. I think both teams could use him.
But
again, the New Jersey Devils. Here's the thing. I put it out earlier. Like we talked about it yesterday. I know Darnell Nurse's name came up last night, and everybody in Edmonton is kind of saying he's off the table right now. There's a reason why we brought him up. It's if you go down the road, even with the salary cap going up, math has to add up, and somebody has to go, right? $9.5 million for a defenseman.
Oh, and that contract today, that was horrible. Trent Frederick, I'm sorry, but
yeah, 8 years at what, 3 something?
3.5, no movement clause.
Oh, full no move for every year.
Full no movement clause. But yeah, for Ehlers, I see Islanders, I see Devils. Who else is on the list on free agents?
Well, Carolina's there, Columbus is there. Like the teams that don't get Marner or Besser are gonna go in on Ehlers because he's a goal scorer.
Yeah, it's definitely going to create a ripple effect, and especially Marner. If he doesn't sign on July 1st, maybe guys like Ehlers and Besser won't be either.
Or the teams that are waiting on Marner just decide to go in a different direction on July 1st and be like, no, you know what? We're moving. I gotta ask you something because we have to discuss this. I put a video up the other day talking about the Buffalo Sabres and the mess that they've created and Kevin Adams ruining that team. I mean, another young player out the door, JJ Peterka, going to Utah. Kesselring, we talked about, and Josh Doan, the return, just not the greatest there. I mean, again, Kesselring fills a need on Buffalo's right side. Bo Byram's name's still out there, but action's kind of slowed on him, even though they want to move him, but there could be a bridge deal for him. His versatility, yeah, but we've talked about it. He's a left shot D playing the right side and not developing on the left side before he makes the transition. It's not going to work.
I said it at the time. I said, why did they do that trade?
Yep.
Obviously Middlestad, they were looking to trade him, but at the time, they already had Owen Power and Dahlin on their left side. What, they're going to put him as a third pairing?
And Samuelson.
So obviously they were going to slide him to the right, but you're not getting the Bowen Byram you traded for because he's not playing on his right side.
No, exactly.
So, but for Byram, I would keep an eye on tonight. I think it's very possible you could get dealt, and I'm looking at Vancouver, especially with that pick 15. But then again, these trades are hard to do. It takes long, and we haven't heard much on Byram yet, so maybe later on at night. But yeah, Peterka, another problem. Maybe he's going to be that point per game player in Utah. I mean, he already got 70 points with Buffalo.
Yeah.
And even what concerned me the most was the offers that were given to him, reportedly. Buffalo were talking with Cairo and St. Louis. Buffalo were talking with Dobson in New York, all for Peterka, and they took that deal. I still can't grasp my head around it.
No, I can't grasp my head around it either. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that that's the deal they took. There were better deals on the table. But again, Dylan Cousins went for Josh Norris, right? Like, if Josh Norris can stay healthy, yeah, it's a win-win for both teams, but he's got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
And they need goaltending, too. Like, the Buffalo Sabres need a lot of help. And it's just, again, you put a guy in charge that was on the financial side of things into the hockey ops. And again, it goes back to the whole structure and the culture over there in Buffalo. I want to go back to New Jersey for a minute. I put it out there, right? Like, a lot of what I'm seeing on New Jersey is I think they're waiting for Luke Hughes' extension, maybe an 8 times 7.5 deal that's out there. because obviously he's been linked to Quinn Hughes. We don't know what Vancouver's really doing. They're keeping Elias Pettersson as of now, but maybe talks heat up, again about Pettersson because the center market's not there. You just can't go get a center or top 6 forward.
It's got to happen in the next 4 days, though.
It has to, right? Because his no movement clause kicks in on July 1st. Again, the Devils are like Quinn Hughes. A lot of people are talking about moving Dougie Hamilton. That's all well and good, but then you're going to have Simone Nemec, Casey, Brett Pesce, while Jonathan Kovacevic is out on your right side. Unless you're getting Robertson and a piece from Dallas, like Lindell, that doesn't help your team.
No, I think the Devils, they're very much focusing on Hughes and the extension that's going to come probably in the next few days. But look, until then, the Devils don't have a draft pick to play with this year, right? They don't have their first round pick. They used it for Jacob Markstrom. I would say their trade pieces right now are Simon Nemec, Dawson Mercer potentially. Obviously, they traded.
Not potentially. He is a trade piece.
It's coming, you think?
I think so. I think if they're going to make a big splash, he has to be a part of it. Like at some point, you can't be afraid to move your draft picks and your prospects that you've been playing.
I'm not saying it's going to be a quiet summer in New Jersey, but I do think it's going to be quiet on the trade front. I do think
be quiet right now until they get that Hughes extension done to see how much actual money they have to play with.
I do think July 1st they will sign someone though.
I think so too. I think they have to know the number before July 1st though. I know teams can play with $10 million or more after, in the summer, but they have to know what the number is.
Yeah, and I always told you, they need size. And, obviously we're linking Nick Ehlers, but it doesn't really address their size problem.
No.
But again, those big guys you have to get by trade because there's not many on the free agent market, that's for sure.
No, exactly. There's not a lot on the free agent market. Now, like you said before, circling back to Montreal, do you think they can go after a forward this summer too to address their need? I know everybody's looking for top 6, a number 2 center, but you get Dobson now. Do you think you can maybe add another forward?
And they have to. I think you don't just get Dobson to sit back and relax and have the same model as last year to just be in the mix,
right?
And obviously Kirby Dach, they're definitely giving him one last chance, let's just say. But maybe, it's not going to be that elite center, but maybe someone who could fill in the roles for the next few years. And, a middle 6 center, maybe that's all it needs for Montreal. But like I said, I don't think they're done. And I do think that Montreal has definitely made Logan Mailloux still expandable. I still think he's expandable now. Because if you look down the line, there's Carrier, Dobson now, Ryan Backer, where's Logan Mailloux going to fit in?
Yeah.
So that's just like the Devils with Simon Nemec. So Montreal still have their prospects, which is good from the Dobson trade, and they could definitely still use it on the forward, or they hit the free agent market.
No, exactly. I mean, and again, teams are going to overpay. LA, obviously got Gavrikov, Ivan Provorov still out there.
Stay away from Gavrikov.
Yeah.
That contract, oof.
Yeah, it's 7 times $8 million. That's going to be a lot.
Yeah,
that'll be a lot. But I think if the Kings sign him, they're going to sign him to the deal that they think they can get him at. You look around, you say to yourself, all right, what other teams can make some noise? Is San Jose going to do what we think they can do? What about Anaheim? Let's talk Anaheim real quick before we wrap some things up here. What do you think they do? Because they got the Kreider thing. They moved Trevor Zegras out. What do you think they have planned?
I feel like I never know what they have planned.
do we like the Seattle Kraken? Do the Anaheim Ducks actually have a plan?
I feel like no. I want to say no, but I feel like the piece they added so far tells me they want to get bigger, tougher, and try and get a playoff spot. But I don't think they're there yet, and I still think they have to make some moves now until the start of the season, whether it's on the trade front or free agent market. I think they're going to be in on Ekblad.
Yeah.
Obviously, they hired Quenneville. They hired even,
and he knows Ekblad. And a shout out to Rob Peterson. He was here in the Ekblad and Anaheim Ducks. So I mean, that would make sense.
And they hired Joel Quenneville. Joel Quenneville and Jay Woodcroft. Sorry.
Yeah, that's a great combination.
They have a great coaching staff. They just got to build that roster now. But like I said, another top 10 pick they have tonight. I wonder what they're going to do with it. Are they going to pick? Are they going to move it? Maybe it's time to move it.
Yeah, maybe it is time to move it.
Because how many players are Anaheim going to draft until it's time to, take the next step?
I mean, they were always loaded on D. So
they were
loaded on D, and then they moved everybody out, and then time was over. Does John Gibson move? What do the Edmonton Oilers do on again? Oilers and math, like cap don't work if Bouchard's getting 10. Draisaitl's new extension. McDavid's gonna stay. They need a goalie. Like, what are we doing?
No. There's a lot of question marks for the teams in the West. That's for sure. And as for Anaheim, like I said, last year they caught me off guard when they picked Beckett Seneke.
Oh, the reaction was great. I mean,
number 3, they caught me off guard. The Zegras return caught me off guard. That's for sure.
Yeah,
selling low on Zegras, I don't get it.
He wasn't a Pat Verbeek guy. I'll say it. I've said it.
He wasn't.
He wasn't a Pat Verbeek.
He wasn't. But at the end of the day, that return was something.
No, it wasn't the best.
Chris Kreider, the move, it's okay, I guess. Jacob Trouba doesn't really make sense. So I'm still trying to figure out what's going on there.
Yeah, me too. I'm still trying to figure out what they're doing. But big news, Montreal lands Noah Dobson, the big fish. He's been on the market. They've been talking about it since yesterday. Kent Hughes gets his man. Now let's see if the New York Islanders can make the second move, because obviously Matthew Darche is trying to go Brian Burke when he got the Sedin brothers, and that took a bunch of trades. So let's see if Mr. Darche can pull it off. And one more comment before we wrap it up. Thank you for watching us here. Trying to maybe move towards a 3 to 5 year plan, not as much as a 1 to 3 year plan. I do think they'll be competitive. I think they're ahead of some schedule with the picks that they're going to get.
Thank God you got first overall.
Yeah, exactly. So they're going to be just fine. But the big question is, to me, is what can they do, and can they flip it to get James Hagens? I think they want him. I think there's pressure from ownership to get him. Let's see if they can execute it.
Schaefer and Hagens would be the haul of the decade.
That place would go nuts. UBS has a watch party tonight, draft party. That place, the building will literally, for everybody who knows I'm a big wrestling guy, if they can land James Hagens, the Stone Cold Steve Austin type pop will be blow off the roof.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be an interesting night in New York, for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a crazy night. So, guys, thank you for joining us here. Little Noah Dobson talk here on some NHL rumors here on Full Press Hockey, here on Full Press NHL as well. Thank you again for everybody for tuning in, the comments. Love our audience. We always do it. We'll be back again talking some more rumors potentially on the weekend, maybe next weekend in free agency as well. Guys, stay tuned. One more comment. We'll be ecstatic if Schaefer, that was my number one plan. Absolutely. Islander fans everywhere want that. David, anything else you got cooking for you before we wrap it up?
No, but I think that fan that just commented should expect that to happen tonight. I feel it. I feel it.
I feel it too. I think it's been in the works for a while now. And but again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Jim Biringer, David Calabretta here, Full Press Hockey. Again, follow along. Please subscribe, like this video. Thank you for all the comments on Twitter, here on Facebook, and as well as on YouTube as well. Guys, take care, and we'll be back.
See ya.